Imagine if one simple leaf, a leaf you can brew, blend, or even sprinkle, had the power to lower blood sugar, reduce bad cholesterol, and shrink stubborn belly fat. It might sound like folklore, but science says otherwise. The leaf we're talking about is Moringa oleifera, a plant long used in traditional medicine, now making waves in modern science for its metabolic and anti-inflammatory benefits. Now, here's what's truly remarkable. Researchers from the Journal of Food Science and Technology found that moringa leaves contain bioactive compounds like quercetin, chlorogenic acid, and isothiocyanates that directly impact blood sugar regulation and fat metabolism. In other words, this isn't just a superfood trend, this is cellular level intervention. And it matters deeply because whether you're in your 40s or your 60s, your metabolism is not what it used to be. Fat begins to accumulate, energy drops, and insulin resistance, a silent and dangerous process, starts to set in. Left unchecked, this can snowball into type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and visceral fat that resist diet and exercise. But here's the good news. You can change this trajectory. Not with a fad diet or extreme fasting, but with simple, science-backed tools, including one humble leaf that work with your biology, not against it. And the service of this is that in this episode, we're diving deep into 6 powerful insights around metabolic health. And you'll walk away with clear, research-backed strategies to stabilize blood sugar, lower LDL cholesterol, and turn your body into a fat-burning, inflammation-fighting machine. We'll explore the leaf that mimics diabetes medication without the side effects, how belly fat hijacks your hormones, and how to reverse it. The gut-liver fat axis that drives insulin resistance and how to reset it, a 3-minute morning ritual that boosts glucose control all day, the shocking impact of stress on fat storage and how to stop it, and the overlooked nutrient that acts like metabolic fertilizer. This isn't about hype. This is about agency, backed by neuroscience and grounded in real implementable tools. Let's get into it. If you've ever tried managing your blood sugar through willpower alone, skipping dessert, counting carbs, doing long workouts, you know how exhausting it can feel. But what if you could add something to your routine? Something natural, simple, and backed by science that actually made those efforts easier and more effective. That's where Moringa oleifera comes in. Researchers have been studying moringa for decades, but in recent years, human trials have confirmed what traditional medicine long suspected. This plant helps the body regulate glucose levels, and it does so through multiple mechanisms. Let's start with a study published in the Journal of Food Science and Technology. Participants who consumed just 7 grams of moringa leaf powder daily, roughly 1 teaspoon, experienced a significant reduction in post-meal blood glucose levels. The effect was comparable in some cases to metformin, a widely prescribed diabetes medication. How is that possible? The key lies in compounds like isothiocyanates, chlorogenic acid, and quercetin. These natural phytochemicals support the pancreas, increase insulin sensitivity, and reduce the absorption of glucose in the gut. In simpler terms, they help your body respond better to sugar and prevent the dramatic spikes and crashes that wear down your energy, mood, and metabolism. Here's what's happening in your body. When you eat a meal, your blood sugar rises. Normally, insulin helps shuttle that glucose into cells. But with insulin resistance, which creeps in with age, inactivity, and poor sleep, your cells stop listening to insulin's signal. That's where moringa steps in. It acts like a cellular amplifier, helping your body hear insulin's message again. Have you noticed how some people can eat a bowl of rice and feel fine, while others crash or crave more sugar afterward? That's often a sign of insulin resistance, and it's exactly what moringa helps to buffer against. A simple tool to apply is this. Brew moringa tea or blend powdered moringa into a smoothie or your morning oats. Start with half a teaspoon daily and increase slowly to 1 full teaspoon. Take it with your first or second meal of the day when glucose load tends to be highest. Consistency matters more than quantity. But a word of caution: if you're already on blood sugar medication, talk to your healthcare provider first, because Moringa's effects are real and powerful enough to require adjustment in medication for some. Even more encouraging, Moringa doesn't just lower blood sugar, it also reduces inflammation and supports fat oxidation, a perfect combination for people struggling with weight gain around the midsection. So the question isn't whether this leaf works. The real question is, are you using it consistently enough to let the biology do its job? Most people think of belly fat as a cosmetic issue, something to hide under loose clothing or work off with crunches. But beneath the surface, something far more serious is going on. Visceral fat, the deep fat that surrounds your internal organs, is not just passive tissue, it's metabolically active. That means it behaves more like a rogue organ than stored energy. And what it's doing behind the scenes is quietly damaging your health. Here's what the science shows. Visceral fat releases pro-inflammatory cytokines like interleukin-6 and tumor necrosis factor alpha, molecules that trigger systemic inflammation, blunt insulin sensitivity, and even impair brain function over time. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Investigation found that higher visceral fat is directly linked to higher levels of creatine protein, a biomarker of chronic inflammation and cardiovascular risk. In other words, this fat isn't just sitting there, it's actively hijacking your metabolism. And here's the kicker: you can be relatively lean and still have high levels of visceral fat. It's not just about how you look in the mirror, it's about how your body is functioning at the cellular level. So how do we reverse it? First, understand that visceral fat accumulates when there's a chronic imbalance between energy intake, stress, sleep, and insulin signal. You don't need extreme dieting, you need metabolic balance. One of the simplest and most powerful tools, a daily 12-hour fasting window. Research from Cell Metabolism shows that time-restricted eating, where you finish your last meal by 7 or 8 p.m. and delay breakfast, improves insulin sensitivity and reduces visceral fat, even without cutting calories. Pair that with morning movement, something as simple as a brisk walk or light body weight mobility, and you're training your body to access fat stores for energy. Think of it as metabolic recalibration. And yes, Moringa supports this process too. Its bioactive compounds help reduce inflammation, improve lipid profiles, and support liver detox pathways, all essential in melting away this harmful internal fat. Here's a practical habit stack. Stop eating 3 hours before bed. Drink Moringa tea or add it to your first meal. Move your body for at least 10 minutes before breakfast, even just dynamic stretching or light resistance bands. This isn't about punishment. It's about reactivating your body's ability to self-correct. And if this insight is helping you rethink how fat really works and how to work with your body instead of against it, consider subscribing. Every week we break down the science into tools you can use to live longer, move better, and feel more in control. Now let's go deeper into the gut, because the next frontier in metabolic health starts there. If you've been eating healthier, moving more, even sleeping better, but still not seeing a change in your weight or energy, your gut might be the missing link. What's happening in your microbiome isn't just about digestion. It's about metabolic command and control. Scientists now refer to this relationship as the gut-liver fat axis, a powerful feedback loop that determines how your body stores fat, processes sugar, and even responds to insulin. Let me break it down. When your gut is healthy, meaning diverse, balanced, and low in inflammation, it produces short-chain fatty acids like butyrate and propionate. These compounds help regulate appetite, reduce systemic inflammation, and improve insulin sensitivity. But when the microbiome is out of balance, often due to a diet high in ultra-processed foods, antibiotics, or chronic stress, things change. Harmful bacteria begin to overgrow, the gut lining becomes more permeable, and inflammatory toxins like lipopolysaccharides, LPS, leak into the bloodstream. And those things make us more likely to go deeper into the Dechev. So, in the microbiome, we have two roles. There's the internal sense chain that inflammation travels straight to the liver, impairing its ability to metabolize fat and sugar, and eventually leads to insulin resistance, especially around the belly. A 2020 study published in Nature Reviews Endocrinology showed that people with metabolic syndrome often have less bacterial diversity and a higher presence of pro-inflammatory gut species. In other words, an unhealthy gut creates the conditions for diabetes, high cholesterol, and belly fat. So how do we reset this axis? Here's a protocol rooted in both traditional wisdom and modern science. Feed the good bugs. Add prebiotic fiber like flaxseed, chicory root, or even a small scoop of inulin powder to your breakfast. These feed the beneficial bacteria that lower inflammation. Use polyphenols as gut fertilizer. Moringa is rich in these, especially quercetin and chlorogenic acid, which not only reduce blood sugar but also reshape the microbiome toward balance. Time your meals. Studies show that giving your gut at least 12 hours overnight without food enhances microbial repair and reduces toxic byproducts that drive insulin resistance. Add fermented foods, just a tablespoon or two of unsweetened yogurt, kimchi or sauerkraut a day can diversify your microbiome within weeks. Have you ever noticed how bloating, brain fog, or fatigue tend to show up together? That's not coincidence. It's your gut signaling dysfunction across systems. Because when the gut is inflamed, the brain and metabolism both take a hit. The beauty is, healing your gut doesn't require an overhaul, just small, consistent shifts in what you feed it and when. And remember, Moringa isn't just helping your blood sugar or fat metabolism, it's also nurturing your gut bacteria, lowering intestinal inflammation, and supporting the very axis that determines how you feel and function each day. How to harness just 3 minutes in the morning to lower glucose all day long. And it's a method almost everyone overlooks. You might think the most important meal of the day is breakfast. You might think the most important meal of the day is breakfast, but before you even reach for food, there's something even more impactful you can do for your metabolism. Move. Just 3 minutes of light movement first thing in the morning can lower your blood sugar response for the entire day. Here's what the research shows. A 2019 study published in Diabetes Care, the Journal of the American Diabetes Association, found that engaging in light physical activity, such as walking or body weight exercises, shortly after waking, significantly improved glucose control throughout the day. Not just right after the movement, but across the next 12 to 18 hours. Why? Because that morning movement increases something called GLUT4 translocation, a fancy way of saying it helps glucose transporters rise to the surface of your muscle cells, making them more sensitive to insulin. So when you do eat, your body can more efficiently absorb and use the sugar instead of storing it as fat. Here's the protocol. Within 30 minutes of waking, do 3 to 5 minutes of low to moderate activity. That could be squats, arm circles, resistance bands, a light yoga flow, or even walking around your home. No need to break a sweat. The goal is intensity. It's signaling. Ideally, do it before your first meal. You're priming your body to handle glucose more efficiently. You can also pair this with hydration and morning light exposure, both of which further support cortisol regulation and insulin sensitivity. A simple stack might look like wake up and drink a glass of water with a pinch of sea salt, step outside or near a bright window for 2 minutes of natural light, do 3 minutes of movement, even if it's just stair stepping or joint mobility. It may sound too easy to be effective, but that's the point. It is easy. And that's why it works, because it's something you can do every day, even on your busiest mornings. Consistency trumps complexity. And if this kind of science-backed real-world tool is helping you feel more equipped and informed, I invite you to subscribe. This channel is about giving you clarity, not confusion, action, not overwhelm. Now, we'll look at the emotional side of metabolic dysfunction, specifically how stress can physically rewire your fat storage patterns, especially around the belly. You don't want to miss it. If you've ever been under pressure at work, at home, or just trying to keep up with life, and noticed your belly growing even though your diet didn't change, you're not imagining it. Chronic stress changes your metabolism, literally. And the reason comes down to one hormone, cortisol. Cortisol is your body's primary stress hormone. In short bursts, it's helpful. It gets you out of bed, sharpens your mind, and mobilizes energy when you're in danger. But when stress becomes constant, emails, bills, sleep debt, relationship tension, cortisol stays elevated. And that changes everything. Here's what the science says. Elevated cortisol increases appetite, promotes fat storage, especially around the abdomen, and decreases insulin sensitivity. That's a dangerous combination. A 2018 study in obesity reviews showed that individuals with high cortisol reactivity were significantly more likely to accumulate visceral fat, even when their calorie intake remained the same. In other words, stress makes your body store more fat from the same food. Why belly fat in particular? Because your body sees the midsection as a quick dissection fuel depot for emergencies. Under threat, even psychological threat, it stockpiles there. So the question becomes, how do you turn off this chronic stress signal? Here are 3 science-backed tools you can use today. Physiological size is a powerful breathing tool from Stanford neuroscientist Dr. Andrew Huberman. It's a double inhale through the nose, followed by a long exhale through the mouth. Just 1 to 3 rounds can rapidly lower cortisol and shift your nervous system out of fight or flight. Cold exposure, even 30 seconds of cold water at the end of your shower, activates the vagus nerve, reduces sympathetic nervous system activity, and lowers systemic inflammation. Over time, this helps train your stress response to be more resilient, not reactive. Morning light, 2 to 10 minutes of natural light exposure within an hour of waking helps anchor your circadian rhythm, regulate cortisol, and improve sleep quality, which is crucial because poor sleep alone can increase belly fat even if your diet is perfect. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you felt truly rested, grounded, and clear? For most people, it's been a while. But getting there doesn't require quitting your job or moving to the mountains. It starts with regulating your biology. And remember, Moringa plays a role here too. It contains adaptogenic compounds that help modulate stress hormones, reduce inflammation, and support the body's natural resilience under pressure. It's not just about burning fat, it's about building stress buffering capacity from the inside out. Now, we'll explore one of the most underrated minerals for fat loss, blood sugar control, and energy, and how Moringa naturally helps you get more of it. When it comes to metabolic health, most people focus on carbs, calories, or cardio. But there's a silent nutrient deficiency that undermines all of it, and that's magnesium. Magnesium is involved in over 300 enzymatic reactions in the body, and many of them directly affect how you process sugar, burn fat, and regulate insulin. Without enough of it, your metabolism simply can't run properly. And yet, nearly 50% of adults are deficient, often without knowing it. Here's what the research shows. A study published in Diabetes, Obesity, and Metabolism found that individuals with low magnesium levels were significantly more likely to develop insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, and cardiovascular disease. The deficiency also correlated with higher levels of inflammation and abdominal fat. Magnesium helps cells respond to insulin more effectively, lowers cortisol, supports deep sleep, and enhances ATP production, which is the energy currency inside your cells. In plain terms, it's a metabolic multi-tool. And here's where Moringa shines again. Moringa leaves are naturally rich in magnesium, as well as a synergistic nutrient like potassium, calcium, and vitamin C, all of which support metabolic repair. The form matters too. While supplements can be useful, many common types like magnesium oxide aren't well absorbed. Better forms include magnesium glycinate, great for calming the nervous system, magnesium malate, supportive for energy, and magnesium threonate, targeted to the brain. But adding Moringa to your daily routine gives you a food-based, bioavailable source that supports mineral balance naturally. Here's a practical application. If you're struggling with poor sleep, high stress, sugar cravings, or energy dips, consider combining Moringa with a magnesium-rich evening meal, like leafy greens, pumpkin seeds, or lentils. Or add a scoop of Moringa powder to a bedtime smoothie with banana and almond butter, both high in magnesium and sleep-supporting nutrients. And make sure your hydration is mineralized. A pinch of sea salt and a squeeze of lemon in your water can improve magnesium retention. Have you ever noticed how your energy crashes mid-morning or late afternoon? That's often not just about food. It's a micronutrient issue. When your cells are underfueled at the mineral level, the entire system slows down. And here's the deeper message. Your body wants to heal. It's wired for balance, but it needs the raw materials, the enzymes, minerals, and cofactors to do that work. Magnesium is one of the most essential. Moringa, while simple, delivers a profound impact, not just by lowering blood sugar or reducing belly fat, but by replenishing what your cells need to perform. Think of it less like a supplement and more like a strategic input for whole body repair. Now that we've explored the science behind this powerful plant and the 6 systems it supports, let's wrap it all together with a recap, a reflection, and a clear next step you can take today. Let's bring this full circle. We began with a simple idea that one leaf, Moringa oleifera, could help destroy diabetes risk, bad cholesterol, and belly fat. But what we uncovered along the way is something much deeper. We revealed how our modern biology is shaped and reshaped by daily inputs, what you eat, how you move, when you breathe, and even how you feel. All of it influences your metabolic health in real time. Here's what the research and the real-world evidence tell us. Moringa acts like nature's metformin, helping your body lower blood sugar and improve insulin sensitivity with powerful plant compounds. Visceral fat is not passive, it's inflammatory and hormonally disruptive. But with smart lifestyle shifts, like time-restricted eating and movement, you can shrink it naturally. Your microbiome is not just about digestion. It's a central player in fat storage, glucose control, and inflammation. Feed it well, and your body begins to self-regulate. Just 3 minutes of morning movement can shift your glucose response for the entire day. Tiny actions, massive ripple effects. Chronic stress is not just in your head, it's in your hormones. Tools like breath work, cold exposure, and morning light help restore balance. And magnesium, the underrated metabolic mineral, supports nearly every system you rely on to burn fat, regulate energy, and think clearly. What ties all of this together isn't hype. It's agency. You are not broken. You're likely under-supported, missing the small, consistent tools that give your body what it needs to function the way it was designed to. Moringa isn't a miracle cure, but it is a high-leverage input. It's a way to nourish your system at the root level, supporting the pancreas, calming inflammation, feeding your gut, supplying essential minerals, all in a form your body recognizes and welcomes. So here's your challenge. Try one small action today. Maybe it's brewing Moringa tea instead of your usual afternoon snack, or doing 3 minutes of morning movement before your first meal. Maybe it's just stepping into the sun for 2 minutes and taking a slow, full breath. Because biology doesn't change through willpower, it changes through repetition. And every time you choose to feed your body better with food, with light, with breath, with movement, you're signaling something powerful. I'm not at the mercy of decline. I'm building my capacity. And if you found this episode valuable, if you learned something that you can actually use, please like this video, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe. This community is built for people like you, people who want to go beyond quick fixes and step into lasting transformation, backed by science and grounded in real life. Until next time, stay curious, stay consistent, and take care of your brain and body. You only get one, but when you treat it well, it will carry you farther than you ever imagined.